I've heard Dr. Dwayne. Dr. Wayne Dyer used to tell that story. That's his rap name, Dwayne.
Hi, welcome to our channel, The Freedom Habit. My name is Michelle. This is my husband, Boyd.
Yeah, our self-image or self-construct, I mean, it affects everything in our life.
And today we're talking about how to create a new self-image and step into your higher self. So what is a self-image? Well, it's what we think about ourselves, what we think we're capable of, what type of person we think we are, and what we think our limits are. And this is important because everything that we think about ourselves either propels us forward or holds us back.
We can only act the way we see ourselves. Like the Bible says, as a man thinks, so is he.
Right.
So if you think you're not able, you're not able. If you think you can, you can. If you think you're bad, you're going to do evil things. If you think you're a good person, you're going to do the things a good person will. So it really does. It affects every part of our life, and it's put there once again from the ages of 0 to 7.
Yes, yes.
So our self-image is actually built when we're children
By others.
By others, yeah. And many of us at least, don't have a good self-image because parents have to tell a kid, no, don't do this, don't do that. And depending on how they do that, that really affects you because you're always being said, no, don't do that. And then when they add things like, what's wrong with you? And nobody should act like that or what.
Yeah.
They start throwing those things on top and you start thinking, wow, something's wrong with me. And I think a lot of us believe that there's something inherently kind of wrong with us, that we're defective in some way.
Well, because we have a tendency to focus on the negative. Because,
That's
as we were learning as children, obviously when we correct our children, we're telling them not to do this. So it looks like we're pointing out negatives all the time. When we're not always trying to be negative, but we do have a tendency to focus on the negative. And that's the thing. Whatever you focus on is what's going to come back to you. And when we talk about changing your self-image to be your higher self, we're talking about to be your authentic self, who you were actually meant to be. And this is something that we can decide for ourselves now of what's going to go in our mind.
right.
What we will entertain.
Yeah. So most of us, not all, but I believe most of us need to change our self-image once we become adults or even as teenagers, whatever, but because there's going to be some negative things that you believe about yourself or that you think about yourself because of the things that were said.
Yes.
And not just to you, just the energy of a household.
Yeah.
Too. Like if there's negative energy and fighting and anger and sadness and yelling and all that stuff, like it's just, you think you deserve it. You think there's like you're kind of at fault. Almost.
Right. Like those unspoken words, because we pick up on those too. Right. You're right. The energy, the things that weren't said, but we know what was meant at that moment. So, so that's how powerful what you think about yourself is in your life.
The next thing that you need to do if you're planning on enhancing your self-image is to be aware of the self-image that you have of yourself. So you have to kind of do an assessment.
Yes.
Which I'm pretty sure you are somewhat aware of how you talk to yourself, because your self-image also has to do a lot with your self-talk.
Yeah.
The things like when you make a mistake and you're just beating yourself up or something, and it's like somebody else might do the same thing and not think anything of it. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, self-assessment's really important. We have to Like, once again, check into how we talk to ourselves, how we respond when people say certain things, like the triggers that we have.
Yeah, triggers.
So, yeah, that's really important. Yeah. So, do you inherently think life is hard and you're going to struggle? Do you think life's difficult and you're just one of these people that, well, that's my luck. That's just my luck. And so you kind of expect things are going to go bad.
Right.
You expect things to be difficult. I know I was like that. I feel like I've broken out of that to a large degree, but yeah, that's a tough one. Once you have that kind of an attitude, that kind of outlook on life, like life just isn't fair and people are this or whatever. Like,
Or my life sucks. Well,
yeah.
yes, then you're going to bring in stuff that just reinforces the fact that your life sucks. So, yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is what we're projecting onto life and onto people is what they're usually going to act like.
Yes.
This is an old parable kind of a thing, but an old man sitting in a park and a young guy who's moving to that town is walking by, and he asks the old guy, "What are people like around here?" And the old man says, "Well, what were people like where you're coming from, And they're like, "Well, they're kind of mean and they don't really help you out. If you're in trouble, you're on your own." So, and he goes, "Well, that's kind of what people are like around here."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then another guy walks by and he asks the man the same thing. And the guy says, "Well, what are people like where you're from?" And he goes, "Oh man, I love it there. I hate that I even have to move, but I get a new job. I get a lot of friends up there. I'm going to miss them." And he goes, "Yeah, that's kind of what this place is like too."
Yeah.
So there you go. You get what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And what you expect.
Yes.
And I've heard Dr. Dwayne. Dr. Wayne Dyer used to tell that story.
You wouldn't even have said that. I would have totally forgotten.
Well, I'm glad I got it.
Okay, so next you want to define your higher self, your authentic self. What the person that you want to identify as. Like, where does that person live? If you're trying to upgrade your life, let's say you're looking to move into a bigger house, or you're looking to create a life where you have a different car or a better job. So you want to figure out what this new identity looks like, how they act, um, their friends, what kind of food do they eat, do they exercise?
I think it's better too to realize that the higher version of yourself is actually who you always were meant to be, or who you are meant to be.
Yes.
It's not like some alien person that you're trying to become.
Yes.
Because if you can envision that person, like how they would react and respond to things and think about themselves and think about the world. Is the world cruel or is the world kind? Are people loving or are they mean? You know, and like she was saying, do you exercise? Do you drink alcohol? Do you smoke cigarettes or whatever? Like, because if you keep identifying with those old things like that, and you want to become this person who's in good shape and in good health, you got to let go of some of that stuff.
Yeah. One of the things I've done is I'll try new foods that I've always told myself I didn't like. And I know that sounds small, but small things make a difference. And I know I've said that a lot. But there's foods that I've tried that I've decided, like, oh, okay, I do like this. I've been hating it for years. I mean, there's an example, something like that. Or maybe there was a certain type of clothing or outfits that you didn't like. Maybe we're always changing and growing and evolving, and that's the great thing about creating your own identity, stepping into your authenticity, is starting to really learn about yourself, um, on your own instead of being told what your identity is.
I also think that we believe it's going to take a long time to change. And it has taken me a long time to change because I'm in my 60s. But it's because I wasn't aware. Like once you become, I've only become aware of this within the last couple of years. And I've changed a lot. But, and even at 60, you can still change. That's good news because you know how they tell you the older you get, you're stuck in your ways and you
can't teach an old dog
you can't change. Well, that's
true.
simply not true. I'm here to tell you that. The decision to change and you commit to it, it doesn't have to be years for that to happen. Right. You could do it in a matter of days or months.
Yeah.
I truly believe that. And as you practice it, it gets easier and quicker to even do it because you learn how to transmute your thoughts and to truly believe. Once you start seeing some change, you really go like, hey, I really can change. I really can think differently. I really can react and respond differently. And I think that's important because if we think it's going to take forever, it's going to take forever. Once again, it's like what you expect is what it's going to take. So believe, that goal that you want to reach or the person, I hate to even say it, the person you want to become, but don't think it's going to be years down the road or something. Like imagine it happening in 3 weeks or 2 months or something because otherwise it gets frustrating when we keep putting it off because, oh man, that's too much work. It's going to take forever. And that's not true either.
No, it's not true. And you'll see things if you're paying attention, and you will start to pay attention because the more you're invested in this, invested in yourself and in creating a higher version or more authentic version of yourself, the more you do start, it activates that reticular activating system. Yes. And we've talked about this before.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm just going to say the reticular activating system is what makes you pay attention to certain things. Whatever you deeply believe in and whatever you find important, those things, your mind will search for those things and you'll see, that's what you'll see. So if you believe bad things about the world and yourself, you're going to see that because that's what your mind's looking for.
Yes.
So it's really important. We also have a thing called the default mode network. And that's when you kind of default to your subconscious and kind of on autopilot.
The familiar.
Yeah, the old familiar. And meditation shuts down the default mode network. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't turn it off like all day completely, but it does for a few hours and then it does weaken it. It makes it easier not to just relapse and fall back into those old familiar ways.
Right, right.
It's another reason it's important.
Yeah, when you were talking about the reticular activating system, it reminded me of the believing is seeing.
Yeah.
Because once you believe it, you'll see it.
Yeah.
So.
That's true.
Yeah.
The next step that's important is aligning yourself with your new self-image and start to take the actions that person would take.
Right.
So I know for me, I'm shy. I don't usually walk up to just people and start conversations and stuff like that. But if you want to break out of the person that you've been used to being, take a chance and do something like that.
Yeah, get out of your comfort zone.
And I've done that a little bit here, and I even try to speak a few Thai phrases when I go into stores and stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel uncomfortable because, I don't really, I'm sure I don't pronounce Thai words very well, but I take that chance because I feel like the person I am would do that. Like, so I try to learn a few.
Because we're taking an interest in the culture, and not a lot of people do that anywhere.
Right.
And that's nothing against those people, but yeah, that's something you're wanting to do. So you're reinforcing that behavior.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, we have to just step out of our comfort zone, and once again, there you go. Nothing changes when we stay in the comfort zone, the old familiar patterns. We got to break out of them. We got to make ourselves uncomfortable. And when we start aligning with who we want to actually be and who we are actually made to be, who our Creator made us to be,
Right.
you're going to be uncomfortable.
Right.
It's going to be a little bit nerve-wracking at first. You're going to have to take some chances. You're going to,
You know what? But I think you open yourself up to the things that were meant, like you're going to attract things to you by taking those steps, stepping outside of your comfort zone. I think God would see, this is how we let him know when we're ready for new opportunities. So we might be a little bit afraid at first, but I think it gets exciting because I know there's things I've done in my own life that I always thought to myself when I was younger, I can't do that. I'm not very good at that. But you know what? I'm taking steps now, and I feel opportunities opening up for me, and it's exciting. And that's one thing. Just remind yourself. To me, this is really exciting to figure out who my authentic self is, and I get to create it.
And when you start being committed to change, it shows God and it shows your subconscious mind that you're done playing around. And when he sees that you're serious, and I don't know if God's a man. In the Bible it says he is. I don't know if a spirit needs to have a sex.
I don't think it matters.
So anyhow, but yeah, once your subconscious mind realizes that you're serious, it starts dropping those old patterns, and it's easier to break out of them, and you're paying attention to them now. And once again, it shows the universe, if you will, that this person's serious. They're making real changes. And then you can have the blessings and the things that you've always wanted because you became the person that would have those things.
That has that vibration,
yes.
and you'll start attracting those things to you.
Yeah, because you aligned your frequency with the person who's able to attract those things.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about our energy, like when we're in a high vibration because we're all energy, and how our energy can enter a room before we do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, these are real. These vibrations, our energy is real. So when we're putting out, vibrations that we are stepping into that person, that higher self, that authentic self, then it's going to attract that back to us.
And if you question that and think maybe that's not true, did you ever walk into a room after there was an argument amongst people, and you could walk into a room and you weren't even there, and you could just feel the tension?
Yeah.
You could just feel the vibration of negativity.
Yes.
And you didn't even hear it or see it, but you know something went down here. You can't deny that. I mean, everything's vibration.
That's
everything's frequency.
Like walking into a room when some people were talking about you. Suddenly it gets silenced. Now you might not have heard any of that, but your body, your intuition, which is another thing, then, as we start to step into our authentic self, we start listening more to our intuition. And your intuition it's a great guide.
You know what else too? Using that as an example.
Mm-hmm.
If you do walk into a room and people get quiet and you think they're talking about you, what person are you? Are you the person who assumes that it was bad?
There you go.
Or are you the person who goes, maybe they're throwing me a surprise party. Maybe they complimented me and then they don't want to say it to my face, but they were going, hey, he did a really good job on that or something. So, once again, which person do you want to be? The suspicious one or the one who just believes the best? And even if you're wrong, it's better to believe the best because if not, you're going to start looking at those people with suspicion. Right?
Yeah. Or you could be that person who's decided that whatever people think of you is no longer your business.
Yeah.
And don't let it affect you either way.
That's good.
Okay, so we've given you these tips on how to identify your new identity. Now it's about reinforcing it. Reinforcing that authentic self and stepping into that person that you actually are.
And I feel like we were already covering this to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for example, like if you want to be able to speak in front of a crowd or an audience or something, which I've never liked doing that, most people don't, go take a speech class at a community college.
There you go.
There's even groups that, or you could join places where they have poetry night and get up there and read a poem or their story. There's all kinds of stuff. You could join online groups even where you do.
There you go. Sitting on a Zoom call. At least, I think the biggest thing with me is sometimes with these videos is like looking at myself in the camera. So I've been spending more time talking to myself in the mirror so I could get used to this making videos.
So the main thing about reinventing your self-image is to start doing the things that you're afraid to do. Once again, stepping out of your comfort zone and doing the things that you've always maybe wanted to try.
Yeah.
To be that person who's brave enough and confident enough to take that chance, to take that risk. And some people will like you and some people won't. And there's really nothing you can do about that.
Yeah, and that's okay. Yeah. That's okay. Because there's people who are going to like you or not no matter what you do. Yeah. So the best thing is to just, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and continue.
Yeah. Keep taking chances. Keep stepping out. I mean, I use, public speaking.
You could do it at work. Like, let's say you're at work and, you've always been kind of quiet and you have some great ideas. During the meeting, start speaking out. Give people your ideas. Talk about your opinions. Yeah. Don't play it small, which we've talked about. Quit playing it small. Get excited about this, and don't be afraid. We were raised on survival mode, and we're getting out of that.
All right. Well, thanks so much for watching. We appreciate you guys.
Have a great day.